Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. We're halfway there. We're into round 10, 4 games this weekend, and my golly, all 4 of them are huge. Huge finals ramifications. So make sure you stay tuned here to Around the WAFL for this week's edition, a round 10 preview. Of course, it's mental health round, a very important round, all embraced by the WAFL clubs and all within WA football. We'll talk about a little bit about that in just a moment. Paul Persick with you, and alongside me, ready to lay the lowdown smackdown on this weekend's WAFL action, is Taylor Cowper.
Hey, Paul.
Taylor, huge weekend ahead.
Yeah, the mental health round's a great initiative by the Footy Commission. They just want us to do 3 simple things, really, and that's to, before it gets too much, talk to a mate. So when we're going through problems in life, it's always important that we just go and talk to someone and making that okay to talk about. Also, that talking and listening is powerful. So if you are one of the mates that one of your mates comes to talks about a problem, just make sure you're listening well. And mental health issues can affect anyone. It may be difficult at first, but talking to anyone about that can help you when you're going through a tough time in life.
Absolutely, that's all it takes.
That's one of the finite things in life, is that we're always going to go through something troubling. It happens to all of us. Just go and talk to someone about it.
Absolutely. That's all it takes. Just talk to someone and it'll certainly make a big difference in their life.
So great work by the Footy Commission to do that.
Absolutely. Not only that, but of course, it's a big show coming your way today. We have Beau Wardman, the Subiaco coach, joining us in just a little bit, TC, but also all 4 games, TC, in round 10 all carry huge implications as far as the final 5 is concerned.
And before you came on air this morning, Paul, you said that you can't pick any of them.
Honestly,
you're struggling. No, there's one that I think you can pick straight away. We'll get to that a little bit later on.
I'm not
but
sure.
There is some really cracking footy going on, and really looking forward to this round of footy.
Certainly will be. This is Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. Paul Persick and Taylor Cowper. And one of the sides that is in form, Subiaco. They are in the top 2 and heading into a big game against West Perth at Leederville Oval on Saturday. They are back in form, and their in-form coach, Beau Wardman, he's been good enough to join us on today's episode. Beau, hello, mate. Welcome to Around the WAFL.
Hey, Paul. Nice to be with you today.
Great to have you on the show, Beau. Huge game on Saturday against West Perth. They are back in the 5, and your side and West Perth have had some pretty good encounters in recent times.
Yeah, certainly. They've been the form team over the last 18 and 24 months, so be another good opportunity. They had a stirring win over South Fremantle on Sunday, coming from behind at half time, so we're under no illusion what it's going to take this week. But I think our guys are sort of really enjoying their footy at the moment and playing a good brand of footy, which we know will be competitive if we can bring that again this weekend.
You just alluded to it, but, West Perth have been the informed team the last 18 months, but you guys are the informed team for the first couple of months of this season. Must be a good position to be in, second on the ladder, kind of tied with Claremont at the moment.
We'll certainly take it. It certainly beats losing. So, but I think it's just testament to the work that a lot of people have done across the pre-season. Obviously, we reviewed last year thoroughly the way that the guys come back and presented at pre-season. Got back to work. We brought in a few new coaches, and they've sort of really been able to carry the standards through and the expectations, and the boys have bought into that, and we've tried to complement that with some fun and enjoyment around what's happening, and there's good competition for spots, which can be healthy, and they're just buying into the roles that are assigned each week.
Now, one of the players that really enjoyed returning to the side, I can imagine, was Lee Kitchen, back after a long spell away. He had a great game against the West Coast Eagles. What are his chances of making the side against West Perth on Saturday?
Yeah, no, Lee will certainly be out there this week. It's unfortunate he's had a highly decorated career and hasn't really sustained any injuries over that period of time. So for him to get the hamstring, and it sort of took a little bit longer to heal, but he's done a lot of work in terms of his rehab and getting his body right so that he can get back out there. And he's been our captain for over the last 5 years. He's a highly credentialed state player, premiership player, and just the way that his voice can assist certainly some of our young guys, and he'll get back to his best form over the next couple of weeks. And he's certainly been a welcome re-addition back into the team.
Beau, talk to us about Zach Clark averaging 100 hit-outs to your effectiveness in the midfield there at Subiaco, just playing a bit of tongue-in-cheek there. But no, Zach Clark, he's been a fantastic addition for you guys, getting first use of the footy in the midfield. What's it been like having him around the club?
Certainly great. I mean, Della's been a terrific servant for our footy club. The way that he was able to get around the ground and shoulder the ruck, but most weeks probably undersized. So for our mids to sort of capitalise on Zach's first use has been awesome. And I think probably things we weren't expecting was his sort of follow up and capacity to get around the ground. And he sort of got back to his best really quickly after spending a few years playing country footy. And obviously there's a bit of a difference in level, but the way that he bought in over pre-season and was hell-bent on having some success back at the club again this year. And he's developing some of our younger tools, but also developing some of the young midfielders coming in. I think guys like Jamin Malone, Liam Hickmont, Riley Morgan's got a different role, but being able to get through the midfield, working with guys like Steph Giro, some of these younger guys that he's really able to bring along, work closely with Nigel Hamilton in working with our stoppages. So that's been huge for their growth and probably hasten their development this year.
Zach has brought really the best out of a lot of those young players, Beau. I absolutely agree with you. One more from me, Beau. Your forward line, I reckon the continuity in that forward line is going to really be a big difference over West Perth on Saturday, especially when Ben Sokol and Jack Mayo are kicking big bags of goals.
Yeah, definitely. We sort of spoke about that last week, that we wanted to play a team role up forward and everyone would sort of get their opportunity in front of goal as it presented. Ben's proven performer over a number of years, so sort of no surprise there, but he's continuing to develop his game, and I think this year has brought a new level of excitement for him, particularly with a few young kids coming through there. We've had Robbie Hanson and Colton Tolstrop earlier in the year, Luca Kentfield as young guys coming through our Colts program, then someone like Ben Golding, who's probably plied his trade through the midfield. We've thrown him forward in a bit of a pressure role, and he's been able to support those guys. Geordie Perrone's been in and out, Josh Robbins. So some of those young guys at ground level have complemented our tools and made it a little bit easier for them in terms of going to work on their one-on-ones and their contested marking. And something that we've spoken about is just being a little bit more efficient in front of goal. We've probably had more opportunities and probably missed some goals that we would like to be kicking. So whilst it's not a result focus, it's making sure that we continue to work on our craft and capitalise on those, because I think in big games and towards the back end of the season, those things are going to be critical.
Hey, Beau, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend against West Perth. But before we let you go, it is, of course, Sync Mental Health Round. Your thoughts on that as a coach? How much emphasis do you put on with your players, especially making sure that they're making mental health a priority in the WAFL? Yeah,
definitely. I think it's something that's really important. We speak often about the tactical and the physical component of the game, but the mental component is of utmost importance. Understanding your role, making sure that you fit in within the group, making sure that you've got healthy balance off the field, and I suppose a lot of our players sometimes might not be in a healthy position because they're not playing league footy, but that's got to be a side issue to ensuring that you're enjoying what you're doing all of the time, and that you've got people to speak to, and I think our club do that really well. We've got a number of staff that are off field. We've got a chaplain that's there to be able to support the players if they need to be able to discuss certain issues. And I think that the greatest strength of any team, and particularly sporting environment, is the capacity to be able to share stories. We've all got significantly diverse backgrounds, and often the issues that one person is facing, there's probably another 5 or 6 that have also faced the same thing. So to be able to share those stories, and we give the boys the opportunity to do that at various times during the week and during the year, I think that's really powerful.
Fantastic, Beau. Thanks for your time. Good luck against West Perth. Thanks for your time.
No worries at all. Thanks, guys.
Beau Wardman, the Subiaco coach, all the best to him and the Lions against West Perth on Saturday. He raised some great points about the Think Mental Health Round, the concept around it, and I reckon all the clubs with the off-field staff that they have, not just in WAFL but in AFL as well, really helps the mental aspect of a lot of these players, because they're under a lot of pressure week in, week out. And just backing up what he said, speak to someone. If you're going through someone, share your story, speak to someone. Let's get into these games, hey? Let's talk about that. Absolutely. Of course, all 4 games will be live, free and in full on the AFL app and on afl.com.au. This is Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. And I'll said it before and I'll say it again, TC, all 4 of these games you just can't pick a winner. You just cannot pick a winner.
Oh,
The first of those is
I'm pretty
East
sure I can.
Fremantle. I know you can. I won't be surprised about this first one. East Fremantle, Swan Districts at the WACA ground in Perth. Must win for both teams.
Well, this is the one that I am a bit nervous. It's game number 2. I think you can pick a winner in pretty easily. Must-win game for both sides. East Fremantle lost the derby the other week. They didn't follow up, and that game against East Perth, they'd be spewing that they lost that one. I can handle a loss if you're a premiership contender, but you don't lose by close to 40 points, 30 points in a game.
Especially in that last quarter. I mean, 6 goals to 2 something in that last quarter.
So that was pretty poor. Looking for them to bounce back, but on the other side of things, Swan Districts, they're a great side as well. They're starting to get a couple of wins now as well. They sit 7th, so 6 versus 7th. A win here pushes the Sharks back inside the top 5, depending on how a couple of other games fall as well. So, yeah, both sides need a win. I'm going East Freo on this one.
Sharks go with this game with a couple of injury concerns.
Yeah.
They had Corey Holmes. He's out. He injured his hamstring in that game against East Perth. And Milan Murdoch, he's out under the concussion protocols, one of East Fremantle's best midfielders.
That is a huge loss for the Sharks. Obviously, Milan, I think I told you when we recorded earlier in the week that there was a prominent WAFL commentator that said Murdoch, along with Jupp and Erdley, they're the only ones, and the Marsh brothers, throw them in there too. They're the only ones that are really kind of standing up and showing a bit of fight in these games at the moment. So there's going to have to be some players. Schofield might really stand up for East Fremantle as well.
O'Reilly as well up forward.
Dixon, we need to stand up. He's played great footy over the last couple of months. So you need some of those players to really stand up, and I think the Sharks will just be too good here.
On the other hand, the Swans, they've got Jackson McLaughlin. He's been in prime form, seeing plenty of the ball. Jesse Turner, he also was fantastic in that close win over Perth. And even without Brandon Urseg, I think the back line could make things very tough for East Fremantle. Having said that, I'm going to go the same way as you, and I'll say East Fremantle to win, but the Swans are going to give them one hell of a game.
Do you know which game you're doing yet?
Not yet. Not as of yet at the present time. But either way, all these 4 games are absolute rippers. The first one, East Fremantle will win it.
Yep, totally agree. Game number 2, I don't think this is going to be as close as you think it is.
I still think so. Perth over the last month and a half, they've been competitive. Don't get me wrong.
Not saying anything bad about Perth, but Peel Thunder are an outstanding side in this competition at the moment. They sit obviously third on the ladder at the moment. Perth obviously ninth. So there's a big gap there in terms of these two sides. Perth at home, they have been playing pretty decent footy, and they have played consistent footy.
Yes.
And they are on the right trajectory to hopefully be playing finals footy in the next couple of years. It won't be happening this year by any stretch of the imagination. But I think Peel Thunder coming into Perth, playing in Mineral Resources Park, I think they'll just be too strong. I reckon they'll get the job done pretty easy. Not saying that Perth won't be competitive, but I just think it's a pretty tickable game in terms of I can put the mark next to Peel Thunder heading into this one.
Yeah, look at the players Peel have got, in their best 22. Erasmus was outstanding in that loss to Claremont. Brady Gray, absolutely sensational. Sebit Koueki was good in patches. I expect a big performance from him. Also, Blight down back as well, and a few of their other key defenders as well. They can shut down Perth's repeated entries inside 50, because Perth, their forward line, I have to say, is a bit one-dimensional. Yep. When you look at the way they get the ball inside their 50, I often have Harry Quartermain as a prime target. They've got Sam Stubbs, and they've also got Oscar Bird, who can play occasionally up forward. Perth, they just need to find an open avenue to goal other than Quartermain. They've got more than that.
And the other thing that we haven't even mentioned in this yet, Paul, is Peel have lost the 2 games leading into this one. So they've only dropped 3 for the whole year, 2 of them coming in the last 2 weeks.
How they dropped that one against Claremont, 3
and
goals
Subiaco
ahead.
the week before.
Yeah, by 6.
Expecting a bounce back, I think they'll be fine heading into this one.
Yeah, Peel Thunder for me, only around about 2 or 3 goals, I reckon.
I reckon about 5.
5, fair enough too. Third game on Saturday. We mentioned this with Beau Wardman.
With me?
Yes.
I like it.
Turn it up, TC. Sometimes you agree to disagree, and sometimes you agree. Anyway, third game on Saturday. This one's a beauty. Subiaco and West Perth at 2:10 at Leederville Oval. Major test for both teams coming up.
Yeah, another huge game. We obviously spoke to Beau before, looking for some of his forward line to stand up. They're very good at getting the ball inside 50, Subiaco at the moment. We obviously spoke about Zach Clark as well. So, yeah, they get first use of the footy inside their midfield. They're usually very good at getting it inside 50. It is a tough game, this one, to pick. Both teams at the moment, they both are in the top 5. Subiaco obviously second on the ladder. West Perth are just there at the moment. A loss here for West Perth and a win to the Sharks could change that up a little bit.
Good,
danger game for both sides, really. If you're wanting to go deep in the finals this year, these are the games that both teams will be highlighting. These are the games the coaches will both be going, these are the ones that we need to be winning.
Absolutely. One key, I reckon, is going to be in Subiaco's favour is obviously the hit-outs. And the biggest test from a West Perth point of view will come for Riley Sprigg, the West Perth ruckman. He will face his biggest test in the ruck against the dominating Zach Clark. And for West Perth, there has to be a way for the West Perth midfield to nullify Clark's influence, because Zach Clark does so much around the football. He uses it so effectively, can play a bit up forward and add a little bit of big body depth up forward. So for Riley Sprigg, if he can beat Zach Clark in the ruck, that will go a long way to West Perth winning this game.
The other thing as well that I think clubs are starting to do is his dominance in the ruck is huge, Zach Clark. So it's about trying to work out how you can best use the footy and defend that space well. So yeah, that's gonna Spriggy's gonna have to do a really good job on trying to nullify Zach Clark's influence, but also the midfield for West Perth. When you got Aaron Black in there, you got some really big, hard-bodied midfields in there for West Perth. They're not going to have that easy first use of the ball, Subiaco.
With that in mind, I'm saying Subiaco to win, but only by a goal. It's going to go down to the wire.
I'm going to go the other way in this one. I'm going to go West Perth. They got a lot to play for. They don't want to fall out the top 5.
Absolutely. What a game that one is certainly going to be. And then the one on Sunday. It's live on Channel 7 at 2:10 Sunday afternoon. South Fremantle, desperate to bounce back against East Perth. They are looking for 3 wins in a row.
100%. And South Fremantle, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to start catching up. They're sitting on 18 at the moment. I can't really see them now making the finals. Like, if you look at East Fremantle, they're on 20 points and South Fremantle only on 8. So it's going to be a lot of work for them to get there.
The 2-game deficit will hurt them.
They're going to have to basically win every game going from here. So that does really, really hurt them. But without understating it, this is going to be a great game as well. They're a great side. South Fremantle, East Perth are playing really good footy. They bullied East Fremantle a bit last week, which I have no problem with at all. They just responded really well when the pressure came on. I think this is going to be a fantastic game, and obviously that it's on 7, it makes it a lot more viewable for people. They can get along if they want. If the weather's great, head down there. Freo's a great place to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Freo Oval, great venue, and always some great moments over there.
So in this one, I think East Perth are the informed team at the moment. South Fremantle, like that loss to Perth the other week, they've got to be spewing about that.
And the last quarter against West Perth, they were up by some 35, 36 points at one stage in the game, and West Perth just kicked away in that last quarter. South Fremantle just stopped. They can't afford any of those quarters again.
Who are you going for in this game?
I'm going East Perth.
Okay, I'm going to go South Fremantle.
South Fremantle as well.
They've got to respond after the 2 pretty poor weeks that they've had. East Perth, they're kind of on the same track, I think, form-wise. I think they're really both solid teams. So I think South Fremantle will get up at home.
Well, they need to. They've lost their last 2. They've lost their last 2 at home, both to sides below them on the ladder. So another loss this time to East Perth. Their season is in massive danger.
So yeah, there we go. South Fremantle for me, East Perth for you. We've gone different on a couple. You're going Subiaco. I'm surprisingly going West Perth. I thought you might have gone that way, but
you should be surprised that I haven't gone with West Perth. But there is good reason why. And think about it. Last time around, Subiaco, they just polished up West Perth everywhere early in the season.
Massive round of footy, Paul.
Oh, mate, can't wait for it. 10 rounds. We're halfway there throughout the season, and a lot of ramifications in the 5. Now, I outlined something to you before the show.
Yeah.
Who makes the 5? I've originally went with
you've
East
got to
Fremantle.
keep South Fremantle in because you can't change halfway through the season.
I'm eating humble ham pie after that. So at the beginning of the season, I went with East Fremantle, South Fremantle, West Perth, Swan District, Subiaco.
Yep.
After round 10, should one side stay or should one side go? At the way it looks, I'm saying Tigers. I'm eating humble pie on that again. Subiaco, West Perth, East Perth, and East Fremantle may have a drop, but they'll still finish in the 5.
So out of the top 5 at the moment, you're saying who are you saying won't be in there? So it's Claremont, Subiaco, Peel, East Perth, and West Perth. Who do you think's dropping out?
Peel.
Okay. You really?
I reckon Peel may drop.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I have a feeling that Peel may drop.
So I think it's going to be Claremont, Subiaco, Peel Thunder, West Perth, and East Fremantle. So I think East Perth are going to fall out.
East Perth just fall out, but a 6th place finish would still be pretty good.
Oh, 100%. Well, you'd rather 5th, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd rather. Well, given that East Perth, they're looking for 4 wins in a row now, I should say, because they had that thrashing.
I think East Perth are a great side, and I think they've come really far from where they were last year. I just think West Perth, on a good day, beats them. I think East Fremantle, on a good day, probably beats them as well. I know, obviously, that didn't happen last Sunday, but I think if we're getting towards a pointy end of the season and those 3 teams are around each other, I think West Perth and East Fremantle are the ones that get across.
Can't wait for round 10. It's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, it will. Looking forward to it, Paul.
Thanks, TC. I'll see you on Tuesday.
See you then.
And thank you to our fans as well for tuning in to today's edition of Around the Waffle. Of course, you can watch us on the BackChat Studios YouTube channel, or you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. We also have socials in operation, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a big thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you join us on Tuesday when we review all the action from round 10. It's going to be a big round of footy, and we hope to see plenty of heads at the footy, or also watching on the AFL app or on afl.com.au. We look forward to your company on Tuesday.